Hello, Dave. Here's your brake booster on my brake booster testing machine, and we are going to test your brake booster. Let's take a quick tour. Let's see. I've got the voltometer hooked up to your brake light switch, set to the continuity setting with sound. So hopefully we'll be able to hear a little beep when to test to make sure the brake light switch works. The issue with yours was this air filter assembly has a poppet valve in here with a rubber seal on either side of it, and this is not originally a serviceable unit when ATE invented it, when they made it, and my buddy Wally Wheeler has managed to invent a fix for it, and so we were able to salvage your air filter assembly and get your booster taken care of, and timing was just right because we just got this fix taken care of in the past couple of weeks. Your booster was good internally, the slave cylinder was good internally, and all the original the original CAD plating has been used here, not zinc, and we got black oxide on the hardware. And testing, we are going to test it, we're going to put vacuum to it, and so what the expected results are is this vacuum gauge and this vacuum gauge will go and read the same vacuum, and as when the booster is stationary, just when nothing's being done to the booster. When it is activated, this gauge will start to go to zero, and the more the booster is activated, the more it goes to zero, and then full activation of the booster is achieved when this is zero and this gauge is reading vacuum that the my vacuum pump can supply. Over here we've got hydraulic side. These two gauges are for input, and they're tied together. So this gauge goes up and maxes out, and this gauge goes up and reads final input pressure, which is a function of my master cylinder, which is hand operated. The output is, again, both gauges tied together, and this gauge is going to go up and read maximum output pressure, and then this is going to go. This gauge will follow and read final maximum output pressure. And for instance, to test without the booster having vacuum, what we'll do is I'll pump up the hydraulic side, and what you'll see is this gauge go up and this gauge will max out, this gauge will go up and max out, and this gauge will read the same as these two, which would be about 350 psi. Guess what? We've got activation on your brake light switch, so your brake light switch works. How about that? Continuity, and you can hear it making noise, and you can see our gauges coincide. The loss on this gauge is simply my master cylinder bleeding down internally. Nothing to do with your booster. So now let's try it with vacuum. Activation of the booster, and you can see our readings. This is the cuticle reading right there. Alright. I meant to tell you this is about almost a 4-to-1 boost ratio, 3.5 to 1 boost ratio. So if this reads 350, we're going to read a multiple of that 3.5, 4 times. So we're going to be well up into the 900 to 1200 psi range. Yeah, buddy. That booster puts out some pressure. Alright. Run it again. Alright, well, we got pressure on it. We check for leaks. Make sure we got bleed screws that are holding, no fluid coming out, especially when you got about 1400 psi, 1200 psi coming out of here. No fluid leak. Want to check brake light switch, no fluid leak. If there's going to be a leak, it'll be right around here. Also, we've got a bleed hole right here. No fluid leaking from there. We got a good booster. This brake light switch is a pipe fitting, pipe thread, so that you just need to screw it down to where it doesn't leak, and you don't need to wrench it down to where you've got no gap between here, and you don't need a seal ring on here. This is a self-sealing pipe thread, and you just screw it in until it stops leaking. That's what I've done at this point. So in future reference, if this brake light switch ever stops functioning, you just screw it in until it stops leaking. You don't screw it in all the way tight. This is a fabulous booster, Dave. I appreciate you sending it to me. Thank you very much.